Hello lovely people, I'm just about to leave the house, so today I'm going to go and try a new coffee place that I've heard about in the city that specialises in really beautiful coffees. It's very lame, but I have a day off, so I'm going to go and do that, and I'm going to have a date with myself. I'm going to go and do some drawing and maybe see a film. Cinema in the world. Now that all the cleaning is done, I'm talking to you down here because I don't have my tripod, so I'm just resting you on an Adventure Time cup on my desk. But now that all the cleaning is done in the house, I am working on my rig. A rig is in animation, a rig is the bones within a character. So if you imagine, if you watch Toy Story or an animated CG film, the model is what you see, like a toy, exactly like a toy would be. But then to get them to move, we build bones inside them, inside of that, and that is the rig. That's how they move. In 2D, traditional would just be you do a drawing, you do a drawing, you do a drawing, and then those put together create the movement. But I am doing something called cutout animation. So cutout animation, as I described in my last video, cutout animation is more like a paper doll. If you imagine the ones you used to stick a pin in, and it would help it move. I like to think of 2D cutout animation more like plasticine animation or stop motion animation. Stop motion animation, there's a lot of information, sorry. So, CG animation in a computer. Traditional animation, hand drawn, just your drawings and that's it. Cutout animation is on a computer, but looks 2D, but has a very basic rig inside it, has a very basic bone setup. And then there is stop motion. Stop motion is Wallace and Gromit, or Coraline. It is puppets that you take photos of and you move them. So cutout is kind of a combination of traditional and stop motion, where I build a rig inside the computer that tells my drawing how to move, and then I can move it. You still do a bit of traditional because you have to draw the character, you draw any mouths or eyes or hands or feet that they may need, and sometimes you can draw extra elements. So if their arms move fast, you can draw like a few arm drawings to make it seem as if it's going really fast. If it's not making sense, I'll show you what I'm doing. So this character that I'm going to show you is from a 2D it's from an animation short I'm making with some friends of mine. That's all I'll tell you for now, but this is our main character, and he's a Montana mountain goat. He was designed by my friend Luke Harris, and I've taken his drawing, I've cut it up, and I'm now turning it into a rig. So let's have a look. So this is Toon Boom that I'm using. I'm using a version here. And over here you can see on my very correct screen, this is the rig that I'm starting to build. So if each one of these pieces is a different drawing, so this is just the headpiece that I haven't quite finished yet. This is the right horn, the left ear, the right ear, and every single thing you see on him has to be cut up so that we can individually move it. Okay, so look, our character designer I told him that I wanted a Montana mountain goat as our main character, and that he needed to be able to stand up on 2 legs. So he came up with this really cool drawing. He turned it into a vector drawing. So a vector is like solid shapes, which is this guy here, which is pretty awesome. So what I have to do is I took this drawing, and you can see, so this is the drawing here. And if you think of this as like a spider diagram, so this is our screen. Anything that's plugged in here means we can see it. So this is the drawing here. So if I turn that off, I can show you that I have taken all of these pieces and turned them on. So let's turn a few of these on. You turn them on by pressing A. So I've got his eyebrows, his ears, and his horns. So if you look on the screen now, I've got his eyebrows and ears and his horns. So let me turn them all back on. Boop. And he is over here. Now all of these pieces aren't exactly lined up and working, and I need to draw the entire piece even if it can't be seen. So obviously this pupil, when it was on the drawing, only came to this ring here, but I've drawn a whole one so that I can later move it around the head. I'm just making every single piece of it. So the last piece to do before I start positioning him is the head. So what I need is to create just this blue bubble around here, because all of these other elements are on another drawing layer, so I don't need them on the head. I just need this blue round bubble head. So that's what I am going to do now. So now all of my drawings for this character are separated. Every single element has its own little box. But the problem is now that these drawings are just sat alone, and I need to give them something called a peg. And a peg is this green thing here, and that allows me to be able to move it around and put something called a key on it. A key is in animation kind of the equivalent of taking a picture of the character. So it's what makes up the animation. So without these pegs, I'm not going to be able to animate this rig. So luckily for me, I get to just select them all like this. Press Ctrl Shift P, and you get all these little green pegs. Now every single piece in this character has a peg. Normally I give every single piece its own little controller so I can move each one of them and make keys on each one of the elements. But the important thing to do now is when I click on these, and they've all been named the same thing, so when I click on one, for example, when I click on the chin, so there you go, there's our chin. If I try to move this chin, it moves from its center, which is this little dot here, which is not very helpful whatsoever. So what I need to do now is go through every single one of these pieces and set my pivot points. So I've pressed the pivot button up here, and I shift it there. So now when I move it, that's where it'll rotate from. Obviously, this is just kind of a little bit of an overview for you guys to kind of see what is required for rigging. But the actual Toon Boom website has a fantastic library of tutorials and showing you how to do all of the things I'm doing and how to do them really well. So I would definitely recommend going onto the Toon Boom YouTube channel if you find this interesting. Toon Boom's an incredible program. The only thing is, it's very expensive. Not a bit expensive, it's very expensive. If you're not using it professionally, probably not worth the money, and it's a real shame. So Toon Boom, why don't you do a version for people who aren't professional, who just want to learn? The more people that can learn, the more people that will use it. Sorry, that's my own private annoyance, that I don't want to spend a lot of money each month to use this program, but it is incredible. So there's a lot of different versions. You may have heard of Flash. That is the kind of the Mac Daddy of the Mac Daddy of programs. So you see what I've just noticed here. So I've got this pivot point and I'm moving, but because this horn was drawn, obviously it was drawn like this. There's nothing more behind his head. So what I need to do is, in case I ever need to animate it moving like that, I need to draw more of it. So what I'm going to do is go into the drawing. I'm going to pick the little control points that are on here, and I'm going to make it longer so that if it ever does get moved from up behind his head, I'll be able to see it. So now I'm going to look like that. Obviously the problem is it's sitting in front of his head, so what I'll need to do is go into the rig. So I'm going to continue rigging and positioning all my pivots on this guy. Once that is done and he is all rigged up, I will show you guys again. The problem, as you can see here, is that this eye's pupil is sitting over this, whereas we want it to be in this, as if it lives inside the eyeball like it would in real life. So what you do is you put something called a cutter on, which is this little thing here. They're red because I've turned them off because I've already done it. But you put the white of the eye goes into this little extra bit on the side, yeah, and then the pupil goes in here, and then it goes down into our, this is called a comp, so this is like telling the screen what to show us. Again, like I say, this is all very basic, just to kind of get a rough idea on how these rigs work. I would definitely recommend going to a proper tutorial if you want to do this, or I can do a more in-depth video if that's what people want. But yeah, so now you got these eyes, and the eyeball can now move around inside his head, so we can make him more cross-eyed, or he can look up if he needs to, and all that kind of jazz. So yeah, the next thing I'm going to do is put something called a deformer on, which means that these arms, which can only move like this right now, are going to be able to stretch and be all like wavy, like real arms could be. So I want him to look very cartoony, like a Looney Tunes character. So that's the next stage, and I will come and show you guys when it is all finished. I'll show you guys when it's all finished. Okay, so it looks like he's just a normal guy, no different to what he was a few seconds ago. But now I've added in a ton of these. So this here is called a deformer. And you can't see them on my character right now because they're off. But if I press this, if I press M, if I press the shortcut, they appear. So you get these like green, you see them green handles, and now I can move it around like whoop, whoop, whoop. I can make it all squishy and deform. And then I put them on his ears, so I can like get some nice sway on his ears, and just some more subtle movements. And like the arms, I want to use them only with the deformers, so that's how they'll be animated. And it just gives you a nice, what they call an animation, rubber hose animation. But yeah, that is what I've done. So he is almost ready to be animated.